Today, international outcry grows after Israel killed a group of journalists while attacking a hospital in Gaza. Trump says he's firing a Federal Reserve governor, sparking fears of government control of the central bank. And the business community worries too over separate plans to get equity in more US companies following a government deal with Intel. It's Tuesday, August 26th. This is Reuters World News, bringing you everything you need to know from the front lines in 10 minutes, 7 days a week. I'm Kim Vanell in Wanganui, New Zealand. Funerals are held for the 5 journalists and 15 others killed in Israeli strikes on a hospital in Gaza on Monday. Their bodies are wrapped in shrouds with only their heads visible. On top lay their blue and white press vests. One man, the brother of Moaz Abu Taha, a freelancer who contributed to Reuters and who is among the dead, pleads for someone to take a photo of him, saying in all the time he worked with his brother, they never had a picture together. Reuters contractor, cameraman Hussam al-Masri, was also killed. Video shows emergency crews removing the bodies of journalists after a first strike and then captures the moment a second strike hit, killing more people, including those who'd come to help. President Trump learning of the news during an unrelated press conference in the Oval Office.
When did this happen?
This happened overnight, today.
I didn't know that.
Any reaction to this? Are you going to talk to the Prime Minister?
I don't want to see it. At the same time, we have to end that whole nightmare.
The deaths have sparked outcry from the United Nations and some world leaders, as well as journalist bodies, including Reporters Without Borders, Tubon Breton.
A suicide drone hit the third floor of the hospital, and this third floor was reputedly known for being a space where journalists work. So there is already a first indication that it might have been a targeted strike.
Spokesperson for the Israeli Defense Force, Efer Serfin, though, says the IDF regrets harm to any uninvolved individuals and says there will be an inquiry.
The IDF makes every effort to mitigate harm to civilians while ensuring the safety of our troops.
Reuters is urgently seeking more information and has asked authorities in Gaza and Israel to help get medical assistance for photographer Hatem Khaled, another Reuters contractor who was wounded. President Trump has fired Federal Reserve Governor Lisa Cook, citing alleged mortgage fraud. It's the first time in US history a sitting Fed official has been dismissed like this. Cook responded in a statement saying of Trump that no causes exists under the law and he has no authority to remove her from her job. She's previously denied wrongdoing. Critics say her firing is part of Trump's broader push to reshape the Fed and tighten control over monetary policy. Howard Schneider is our Fed correspondent.
This was an allegation raised only less than a week ago now that she had, in taking out mortgages in 2021, before she was a governor, but still, that she had claimed properties in both Georgia and Michigan as primary residences and promised to live in both. She has not offered a detailed explanation or any kind of rationalization of this. We don't know what the bank knew or didn't know, or what may be coming from her side. Under the Federal Reserve Act, she can't be removed just because the president doesn't like interest rate decisions, right? But it does say you can be removed for cause. What does that mean? Well, I don't know. Tell me. It's never been tested, and nobody's ever tried this before.
Markets reacted swiftly to the news of Lisa Cook's removal. The dollar slid against the yen and euro in Asian trading, and US treasuries dipped as investors questioned their confidence in US assets. Asian shares followed Wall Street lower, with Japan's Nikkei down more than 1%, and US stock futures also retreating. European shares also dropping, led by losses in France, as political uncertainty there deepens, with the country's minority government looking increasingly likely to be ousted next month. Kilma Abrego Garcia, a migrant wrongly deported to El Salvador under Donald Trump's immigration crackdown, is now facing removal to Uganda, a country he has no ties to. Garcia was detained again in Baltimore just days after being released on bond. He's been in detention since being brought back to the US in June. A federal judge has temporarily blocked the deportation, citing a lack of due process. The Trump administration is making a push for more government investments in more US companies after taking an almost 10% stake in chipmaker Intel. He did that by converting $11 billion in government grants into an equity share. It's a dramatic shift in how Washington interacts with corporate America and is worrying some in the business community. Here's editor David Gaffin.
What critics are saying this kind of move could do is that it interrupts the way in which business has been running in the United States for a very, very long time. It brings in a much heavier hand from the government. It raises questions about what Intel's competitors will do, whether they are competing for business with Intel or are they competing with the government. It raises questions about what Intel's customers and potential customers are going to do. Are they going to give business to someone else who is making a chip that they deem best for their operations, or are they going to give that business to Intel, knowing that that will satisfy the White House?
Australia has accused Iran of carrying out 2 anti-Semitic arson attacks in Sydney and Melbourne, and has given Tehran's ambassador 7 days to leave the country. President Trump says he'd like to meet with North Korea's leader, Kim Jong-un, this year.
I have a great relationship with Kim Jong-un. I hope it stays that way. I think it will.
Trump was speaking after meeting with South Korea's president, Lee Jae-myung, in the Oval Office on Monday. Despite clinching a trade deal in July that spared South Korean exports harsher US tariffs, the two sides continue to wrangle over nuclear energy, military spending, and Seoul's investments in the US. To coincide with the visit, Korean Air announced a record-breaking $50 billion deal for Boeing aircraft and GE Aerospace engines. The order includes 103 planes, mostly 737 MAX 10s, and marks the largest in the airline's history. And another major meeting is on the agenda for next week. Chinese President Xi Jinping will gather more than 20 world leaders at a security forum for a power show of global South solidarity. On the guest list, Russian President Vladimir Putin and Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. It's been revealed Tesla rejected a settlement in a lawsuit over a fatal crash of one of its autopilot cars, only to be forced to pay 3 times the amount when it lost the case this month. Elon Musk's EV company could have paid $60 million to settle the suit, but instead, a jury handed down a $243 million verdict, of which Tesla was liable to pay the lion's share. And in other Elon Musk news, the billionaire's artificial intelligence startup, xAI, is suing Apple and ChatGPT maker OpenAI in federal court, accusing them of conspiring to thwart competition for artificial intelligence. OpenAI has called the move consistent with Musk's ongoing pattern of harassment. President Trump says the US military might deploy to Chicago and is ready to go anywhere to crack down on crime. The president is also rejecting calls that by sending the National Guard to Washington, D.C. and taking control of its police force, that he's acting like a dictator. The US Centers for Disease Control and Prevention has chosen a vaccine skeptic to lead its COVID-19 immunization work group. Seth Levi has critiqued mRNA vaccines, saying they can cause serious harm and death. Levi did not immediately respond to a Reuters request for comment. And Grammy winner Lil Nas X was found walking in his underwear on a Los Angeles street before allegedly assaulting police officers who tried to detain him. He's pleaded not guilty to 4 felony charges and and faces up to 5 years in prison. A judge set bail at $75,000 and ordered him into outpatient drug rehab. His lawyer says there's no evidence of drug use. And for today's recommended read, how McDonald's in India capitalizes on high protein deficiency to fuel a boom in protein-loaded burgers. It taps into a craze in a nation with the world's highest number of vegetarians and low meat consumption. For more on any of the stories from today, check out Reuters.com or the Reuters app. Don't forget to follow us on your favorite podcast player. If you're listening on a smart speaker, just ask for the latest news from Reuters 7 days a week. We'll be back tomorrow with our daily headline show.